The day I walked into the same boardroom where people used to laugh whenever they heard my name, no one imagined that 5 minutes later they would all be standing calling me Madam CEO. I didn't smile. I simply looked into their eyes and saw the same fear that had once lived in mine. For years, they had treated me like I was invisible. They stole my ideas, humiliated me in every meeting, and made sure I never received the credit I deserved. What they never realized was that every time they tried to break me, I was quietly becoming stronger. I started at the company as a junior analyst. I didn't come from a wealthy family or hold an impressive degree. My father owned a small shop, and my mother stayed home to care for our family. Every day I took the bus to work, stayed late finishing reports, and believed that hard work would eventually be recognized. Instead, my boss Victor and his team mocked my clothes, my accent, and even my family. The deepest wound came when Victor presented a strategy one had created as if it were his own. He received the promotion while I was left behind. When I spoke up, I was labeled, not a team player. That night, I stood on the rooftop of the office in tears, convinced my career was over. Then I remembered something my father always said. Respect is never handed to you. You earn it through your actions. The next morning, I didn't resign. Instead, I made a promise to myself. I would learn so much that no one would ever be able to steal my future again. After work, I studied business management, finance, and technology. I took freelance projects, expanded my skills, and slowly built a network of people who valued talent over status. 3 years later, the company was collapsing. Poor leadership and reckless investments had pushed it toward failure. The board searched desperately for outside investors. By then, the consulting firm I had built had become part of a major technology group interested in acquiring the company. During the negotiations, no one recognized that I was the strategy director leading the entire deal. When the acquisition was finalized, the board announced that the company's new CEO would come from our leadership team. Victor sat confidently in the boardroom, expecting a famous executive from overseas. Instead, the door opened and I walked in. His face instantly turned pale. Silence filled the room. I placed a folder on the table and calmly said, "As of today, I am your new CEO." No one applauded. The same people who once laughed at me now couldn't even meet my eyes. My first decision wasn't revenge. It was justice. I ordered a full internal investigation into years of misconduct. Employees who had stolen credit, manipulated reports, and intimidated others were finally held accountable. Victor's record exposed everything: plagiarism, dishonest reporting, and workplace bullying. He was quietly removed from his position. Later, he asked to meet me in private and said, "You could give me one more chance." I looked at him without anger and replied, "Second chances are for people who choose to change, not for those who build their success by destroying others." I transformed the company's culture. Every employee received proper credit for their work. Speaking up was encouraged instead of punished. Promotions were based on merit rather than favoritism. Within months, the company returned to profitability, and employee morale reached heights it had never seen before. One afternoon, a young intern entered my office and whispered, "I'm afraid someone will steal my idea." I smiled, opened an old notebook, and showed her a sentence I had written years earlier. "Today they stole my idea, but tomorrow I'll build a future they can never take away." She looked at me and asked, "Do you hate them?" I paused for a moment before answering. Hate never made me stronger. What they did taught me exactly the kind of leader I never wanted to become. That evening, I returned to the same rooftop where I had once cried in silence. The city lights stretched endlessly below me. I was no longer the overlooked employee begging for recognition. I was still the same woman, but now I no longer needed anyone's permission to know my worth.